Hello everyone, I'm KeithShizuo, and Christmas is in the air. And I thought since Christmas is the season of giving, I'd give something to you in the form of this Christmas special, where we take a look at an often overlooked Christmas game on the Game Boy Advance, which Toby should be bringing along any moment now. Thank you, Toby. Polar Express on the Game Boy Advance. Perhaps not a classic, but one not to be overlooked, especially during this holiday season. So let's sit back, grab yourself a cup of hot chocolate, and let's see if it can't bring some festive cheer.
Keith, it's 34 degrees outside. What the hell are you wearing?
Ah, Jasmine, throw another log on the fire, will you? Give me that fan, now.
Buckle up, we fix it, rock and roll. Yes, we can strap it on. Always get in the cold. Already buckle up and please go now. Buckle up.
Christmas is an odd theme for video games. Indeed, holidays in general are an uncommon sight, outside of parodies and things best left forgotten. Thus, enter movie license games. Just take a popular kids movie, or Die Hard, and slap a platformer or adventure game skeleton around it, and you got yourself a Christmas game. And that's what happened to the Polar Express, published in 2004 by, oh dear, THQ. But don't fret, fellow gamers. While THQ was the more modern equivalent of LJN when it came to crappy license games, until their well-deserved bankruptcy in 2013, this game was actually developed by an independent game studio, Tantalus Media, who have been responsible for some pretty impressive stuff and have more than enough cred behind them. Don't worry guys, they got this. Anyway, let's take a look at the game. For the most part, it's a puzzle platformer in which you play through various events heavily abstracted from the movie, playing as... Billy his name? No, that other kid is Billy. The manual just calls him Hero Boy. We'll just call him Johnny Boy. So you play as Johnny Boy, side-scrolling through levels from the movie's major scenes, with the goal of each level being to collect 3 magic sleigh bells to unlock the door at the end of the stage. There are a bit over 20 levels, and before each of them is a short story section made up of stills from the film, which in some places actually explain things that the movie didn't, like here, where it turns out that the reason why the girl is helping to drive the train is because since she's lost her ticket, she now has to work for her passage, whereas in the movie, no real explanation is given. I said earlier that this game is a platformer, but that's only true in the most technical sense. Indeed, there are platforms for you to jump or pull yourself up onto, but it's not paced around constant action like something like Mario is. Instead, it's a much more moderate puzzle platformer with a tiny squeeze of the old Metroidvania exploration. You guide Johnny Boy through the levels, very methodically moving crates, avoiding obstacles and pulling levers to reach the goal. And some of those bells can be pretty well tucked away, requiring the said exploration to find them. On top of the sleigh bells, every level also has a bunch of these candy canes to collect as the game's coins, and if you collect them all, as the manual says, you will have ended up visiting every part of the Polar Express. Wow, okay, so no extra lives, no unlocks? I've never seen a manual be quite this blatant in saying, yeah, this is padding, deal with it. But yeah, each level has 30 candy canes to collect, with some sneakily hidden away, except for the vehicle levels, which have 90, but we'll come back to those later. The bulk of the challenge is provided by the many obstacles themed into the individual levels, because the Polar Express is a frigging death trap! There's possessed cupboards, killer robots, exposed turbines, and jets of scalding steam. No wonder Tom Hanks is in such a hurry. He doesn't want to wait around for the parents to see the death trap that their kids are traveling half the way around the world in. The one that really roasts my RAM are these damn tiny RC cars. They're very tricky to avoid, there's no way to disable them, and they just keep going and out. No, damn it! Okay, before we go any further, let's talk about control. To put it bluntly, it ain't no Mario. While there is a run button, everything feels just a bit slow and awkward until you get used to it. Johnny Boy has a Mario-style jump where the longer you press the button down, the higher the jump will be, which affords you more control over your movement. Unfortunately, the developers didn't quite understand how to implement this correctly. You see, in Mario, the minimum jump that you get from the slightest impish caress of the A button is enough for you to work around the most basic obstacles, small ledges, Goombas, etc. And the usual button press will clear you over almost all obstacles with room to maneuver. In Polar Express, however, the minimum jump is this small, pathetic little bunny hop, which wouldn't clear your drunk uncle who's passed out from having too much sherry at the Christmas party. And a more standard button press will only elevate you to half the maximum jump height, which, for the most part, still isn't enough to accurately do most jumps. So you're forced to retrain yourself to hold the button longer every time you jump in order to do most of the platforming. But none of this is a deal breaker. The controls might be a little flawed, but they're easily adaptable, and once you teach yourself them, it's a perfectly functional game. As usual with this era of platformers, you get 3 hits, or hearts, and then a limited number of lives. During play you can recoup one of your hearts by collecting her hot chocolate, and increase your lives by consuming your own face. The lives are a bit pointless as they just let you continue the level from the most recent checkpoints, which are represented by Christmas trees that light up when you pass them, and roll on from previous levels. If you run out of lives, you just get the minor inconvenience of being kicked back to the level select, and you have to start the stage from the beginning again. And of course, what's a side-scroller without power-ups? Well, at various points you find these toy boxes with appropriately toy-themed power-ups inside. There's a magic wand which makes you invisible for a few seconds,
Stop me now!
a paddle ball to knock over the robots and activate some switches, a pogo stick to jump higher, and a balloon to float up and away until you hit something. But here's where the developers decided just to troll you, because every so often, and just often enough to begin to get annoying, you'll see a toy box, open it excited to get a magic wand for an easy pass at the next section or something, only for it to contain none other than a pair of socks that do nothing.
Master has given Dobby a sock.
What?
Yeah, that's how you can tell that there were some passive-aggressive dads on the dev team. I mean, just look at the manual entry for them. Finally, there are sections where you guide a vehicle like the observation car, the tube, skis, or even the eponymous express itself to the end of a stage, avoiding dead-end tracks and picking up as many candy canes as you can along the way. Now, I know that these kind of levels are nothing all that special, but there's something about this kind of gameplay that just sucks me personally right in, and taps straight into that one more try mentality. It's like the minecart level in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone on PS1. The gameplay is boiled down almost to glorified quick-time events, pressing left or right at the correct time, but I don't know what it is, I just can't put it down until it's beaten. It gets me really hyped sometimes. Perhaps it's this love of glorified QTEs that has led to my recent obsession with Britney's Dance Beat, but that is another story. Polar Express is a decent little game, and while it's not on the same level as Mario or Donkey Kong, there's always just enough difficulty to make you feel like you've achieved something. It's a simple game that you can just take out every once in a while and get a little further in, and collecting all the candy canes provides a nice bit of replayability for the completionists out there like myself. It's a game for slowing down and relaxing, and that's what a Christmas game ought to be. So, on a scale of playing it to hating it, this game gets a solid keeping it. And I'm sure I'll pop it in every year when Christmas comes around. Happy holidays everyone, and I'll see you in the new year.